Mike Evans re-signs with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2 years, $52 million. I think it's absolutely well-deserved. Give me some of your losers from this signing, or AKA, other teams that might have been in the mix for him and maybe should have taken a shot at him.
It's one of those things where it's kind of hard to say because of the fact he was signed literally before he could even talk to people.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the same obvious people, Bills, I guess now
Chiefs,
Pittsburgh,
Chargers, Ravens,
Panthers, obviously, since they, like I said, needed a receiver. All these teams would have probably been in on Mike Evans. Just because he's been Mr. Production, Mr. Consistent, 1,000-yard season since he's into the league, regardless of age, regardless of quarterback. I think he came in with Josh. Did he come in with Josh Freeman?
He didn't come in with
Josh Freeman, but he played with Josh Freeman, though.
Yeah.
I think he did. So they Buccaneer fans know the quarterback carousel they've had there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this Mr. Consistency. So, obviously the teams who obviously need receivers and could not actually talk to him beforehand, obviously would probably be the team that you would look at as losers, because I'm sure a lot of people were willing to pay Mike Evans, especially on a shorter term 2-3 year deal. Obviously, he is in his 30s, so you're not going to give him the monster long term deal, but something where you think he can still be productive for 2-3 years. So
I mean, I think the $26 million a year is fantastic, considering, the production of Tyreek Hill, which is more than Mike Evans, but it's not like we're going to say Tyreek is leaps and bounds better than Mike. It's two different types of games. But when Tyreek, 2 seasons ago, got the $120 million over 4 years, $30 million for a wide receiver a year was a lot. I mean, Tyreek said in an interview he wanted to get to just, like 90, maybe 95 M's. And they ended up giving him 120. He wants to play out that contract and then possibly retire from the league. But I think Mike Evans getting this money at the age in his NFL career, 10 years in, and you're getting a 2-year deal, $26 million a year, very solid. I think there's 6 big losers out of this signing. And again, you made a good point. He got signed before the tampering window was open, and that's smart. Mike Evans said that he wanted to stay there. I remember last year when his agent basically said, Mike's been here for 9 years. He's done nothing but produce. He brought the city a Super Bowl. He was Brady's most, I guess you say Brady brought it to him, but he was a big part of the Super Bowl run, right? Brady loved him as a target. But if you guys don't give him the money, I believe my client will be looking for, to take his talents elsewhere. And that was heard very loud and clear last year. Mike Evans came out again, had a top 3 year of his career, and rightfully so gets the payday. Obviously, the Chiefs would have been fantastic. Of course, the Ravens as well. The Chargers would have been solid too, because Mike Evans is that solid one. The Chiefs need a one. We can entertain the fact that Travis Kelce is that wide receiver one. And if he had WR in front of his position, then we would call him that. But he is a tight end. And again, not taking anything away from T. Kels there. The Chargers are in a bit of a predicament. What's going on with Keenan? Quentin Johnston seems like he's going to be a bust. I hope Jim Harbaugh can really revive him. And then Mike Williams as well. The Ravens, it would have been interesting because I think you're going to slide Zay Flowers to the 2, and I feel like Zay has really secured his position as the one there. Steelers, maybe. Now we know DeAndre Johnson's off the block, but I really get the vibe that George Pickens, and everybody knows that Pickens is that wide receiver one. I think the Colts could be looking for a wide receiver one, and the Packers as well. So a lot of similar guys that, we said with T. Higgins. Do you think him staying in Tampa, though, considering that Baker's still quarterback, considering that you do have not Byron Leftwich, Todd Bowles as that defensive coordinator, as that head coach? Because I feel like Mike still wants to win. He's still one of the best in the NFL. Do you believe staying in Tampa was the best fit for him in terms of, him wanting to win more rings?
It's easy to say no, but at the same time, like you said, he's been in the league, he's been in Tampa Bay as long as he has. For him, he probably has roots there, family there. 100%. Doesn't want to uproot all of it. I don't think, and especially I think we underrate the fact, like you said, he run a ring.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one of those things where it's like, I've never won one. It's like, I've won one. Yeah, and if I can win one more here in Tampa Bay, that'd be fantastic. But I don't think it's something that he felt like I need to go chase. That's why he was willing to have this deal be done before free agency even started. Mm-hmm. So because he wanted to be back in Tampa Bay, I think, especially after last year, all he could say is, well, we went to divisional playoffs last year with Baker Mayfield. So I have no reason to not believe we could still be good or improve or whatever. So it's not like the season we just came off made me worry. It's not like this was a 3-14 season where it's like, maybe it is time. They had a winning season and he wants to stay there. I think he and Baker have really good chemistry, and I think he wants to continue that chemistry with him and continue to build on that. Obviously, him, Chris Godwin have been there for a while together. So I think overall, I think he probably just felt like for him, especially at this point in his career, we don't know if these are the last years of Mike Evans. We have no idea.
Right. We don't
Bill
know
is
what it's
probably
gonna be
Bill's
2
like,
years down the
no,
road.
let me just stay with the one team. Let me finish out what I'm doing here. I'm making my money. I
Yep.
got a ring. Try to continue to produce. And let's see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, no question. I don't think it's his best chance to win another ring here. And like you said, it could easily have been said no. But he's been here for 10 years. Kind of a rhetorical question here. But some people are going to wonder, was this the best fit? People were salivating, oh my God, if he goes to the Chiefs, what if the Chargers are able to snag him up? What if the, Steelers or Colts or Packers, like we were just mentioning, could possibly get in there as well? But losing Dave Canales is going to change a lot for sure. We know he's the head coach of the Carolina Panthers now. And Dave Canales really did a lot of good things with Baker Mayfield, gave him his best career year. Obviously, Mike Evans stayed up in production as well. But believe it or not, he just came off of basically a career year in the
Mm,
NFL. He led the NFL in receiving touchdowns for the first time in his career. He was tied for his second personal best year in receiving touchdowns with 13. It's the third best personal year for receiving yards with 1,255. And that was with Baker Mayfield. He was doing this with Baker, with Tom Brady over a few years, with Jameis Winston for a long stretch, with the Josh Freeman, like you said. Now, the new offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, he did a lot of good work with Kentucky and the Rams over the last 6 years, kind of bouncing between the two, being offensive coordinator at Kentucky and with Los Angeles, being the assistants QB coach, especially under Sean McVay. It's always going to be some good experience when you can put that on your resume in this league as coaching experience. But it's going to be interesting to see how things play out because we saw when Philadelphia lost their coordinators, they weren't nearly the same team. And this isn't apples to apples, but a guy in Dave Canales who was a first year OC being able to, have the type of production or give the type of production to this team like he did, it's going to be something to keep an eye on. This might be an obvious question, but is Mike Evans a no doubter, not just a Hall of Famer? Is he a no doubter Hall of Famer to you?
yeah. I think Mike Evans deserves to be first ballot, to be honest with you. I think he's the guy who just, it's funny because he's never been the big name in the headlines all the time. He's never been
Right.
that guy, but from the numbers and what he's done, he definitely to me feels like first ballot Hall of Fame guy that you he's definitely the guy we were gonna get older, tell our kids and be like,
Oh
hey
yeah.
man, Mike Evans, man, he was that guy back in
Hmm.
Tampa Bay. Like, he's one of those guys. So I think he definitely to me is no doubt first ballot Hall of Fame. Especially again, if he finishes out his career with more 1,000 yard seasons, I mean, he broke the record for consecutive 1,000 yard seasons, I believe.
Hmm. No
So
one's ever done it for 10 straight years in the league. Not Jerry,
exactly.
not Randy, nobody.
So how if he's
Crazy.
doing something that even they didn't do, why
Yep.
doesn't he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame first ballot?
Hmm. I think he's a no doubter as well. First ballot might be tough because we've seen a lot of receivers that have taken,
Mm.
some time. I believe, I think Marvin Harrison's still trying to get in. I think, hell, I just had it on the top of my head. Uh, I think Reggie Wayne is still trying to get in there. And obviously, these guys haven't been exactly like Mike Evans. But when it comes to receivers getting into the Hall, I feel like you really got to do a good bit. But when you look at Mike's resume, I believe he's done a good bit. 10 straight 1,000 yard seasons, never happened before. 5 of those years, he's had 12 plus touchdowns in the NFL, Super Bowl champion finally. He's had, some of the best hands of his generation, great route runner, the tracking ability of the football when he's a deep threat. He's always going to get his targets in the red zone, which is why he consistently is able to have double digit touchdowns in the league. But here's what a lot of people I think don't realize, Bryce. Barring injury, Mike Evans is going to hit 12,000 yards and 100 touchdowns in his 11th year in the NFL. He could even hit 13,000. He's at 11,680 right now. He needs 1,320 yards receiving to hit 13,000 career yards. He's 100% going to do that this year. If not, he's going to end up at, uh, let's see, maybe 12-8, 12-7. But by the
Mm.
time he finishes out this deal, he's going to be a 13,000 yard receiver. And when you go and look at some of the guys that are in the ranks of the NFL, of course, Jerry's up there with basically 23,000. No one's going to catch him. The second closest is Larry Fitzgerald, played for 16 years and is still, about 5,000 or so yards short. But let's just talk about him getting into that 13,000 yard range. And I think 14,000 even is going to be in the realm as well. If he hits 14,000 yards in his career, he's going to pass Chris Carter, Anquan Bolden, Julio Jones, Torrey Holt, Andre Reed. You're going to have Jason Witten, Steve Largent, and he's going to be chasing guys like a Marvin Harrison, like a Reggie Wayne. He's not going to be far off from Andre Johnson. He's going to be looking after a Steve Smith, going up there against a Tony Gonzalez. When you start to put your name in that type of conversation, I think it's a no doubt that Mike Evans will be a Hall of Famer. I'd love for him to be first ballot, but I think that, might be a little bit to ask considering how we've seen some receivers over the years, play things out.